Well, hello everybody. I'm back. I've we're doing we're going to do day 2 now. You don't have to stress about this. No big deal. It is what it is. We're going to do day 2. So, we'll see. We're doing day 2 of the Wade Wilson trial and I'm paired great. Remove. And I'm up and ready to go. We're just going to hop on in, guys. I'm going to do my intro real quick, and then we're going to hop on in and get going. Sound like a plan? Okay, we're ready and raring to go. Let's watch live.
Not for 3C.
Yes, the next knot, which would be the second knot on this cluster,
I have it turned up all the way.
That was connecting the jeans to the bathing suit top.
Were you able to get a DNA profile from the outside of that knot connecting the bathing suit top to, it was the jeans you said?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to get a DNA profile?
Yes.
And were you able then to compare that with Kristine Melton and Wade Wilson?
Yes, I was.
What were the results of that comparison?
This knot demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 3 donors, including at least 1 male. Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton are both included as possible donors to that mixture. Wade Wilson, for him, the statistic is that the mixed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Wade Wilson and 2 unrelated individuals than if it originated from 3 unrelated individuals. For Kristine Melton, the DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Kristine Melton and 2 unrelated people than if it originated from 3 unrelated people.
Now, did you untie those items of clothing and swab the inside of that knot?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to obtain DNA profile from untying that knot?
Yes, I was.
And did you compare that profile to the profiles of Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton?
Yes.
What were the results of that comparison?
The results are the same as the untied portion of the knot. A mixture consistent with 3 people was obtained, including at least 1 male. Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton are both included as possible donors to that mixture. For Wade Wilson, the DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from him with 2 other people than if it came from 3 unrelated people. For Kristine Melton, the DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from her and 2 unrelated people than if it originated from 3 unrelated people.
Now, were those the only knots you tested on those 3 items of clothing?
No, there were additional knots.
Okay, so let's talk about the next knot. That would be 3E.
Yes, this would be the 3rd knot with this cluster of clothing.
Okay, and where was the 3rd knot located?
This was on the left back strap of the bathing suit.
And where was that tied to?
Itself.
Just itself. Okay, so did you swab the outside of that knot on the bathing suit?
Yes.
Were you able to develop a profile?
Yes, I was.
Did you compare that profile to Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton?
Yes.
What were the results of that comparison?
This knot demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 3 individuals, including at least 1 male. Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton are both included as possible contributors to that mixed DNA profile. For Wade Wilson, the observed DNA profile is approximately 5.1 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Wade Wilson and 2 unrelated people than if it originated from 3 unrelated people. For Kristine Melton, the DNA profile is approximately 2.1 million times more likely to occur if it originated from Kristine Melton and 2 unrelated people than if it originated from 3 unrelated people.
Now, did you mention there was another knot in that bathing suit?
Yes,
Okay, and is that 3F?
it is 3G.
3G. Okay, so what is 3F? What knot is that?
That is the untied portion of the knot I just talked about.
Okay, and if you could, were you able to develop a profile from the untied portion of that knot?
Yes, I was.
Did you compare that profile to Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton?
Yes.
And what were your results of that?
There was a mixture that demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 3 donors, including at least 1 male.
Okay.
I
And-
then
go ahead.
compared the 2. Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton are both included as possible donors to that mixture. For Wade Wilson, the observed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from him and 2 unrelated people than if it was from 3 unrelated people. For Kristine Melton, the DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from her and 2 unrelated people than if it originated from 3 unrelated people.
Let's talk about then that second knot on the bathing suit, 3G. Is that correct?
Yes,
So were you able to swab the outside of that knot and obtain a profile?
yes, I was.
Did you then compare that profile to Kristine Melton and Wade Wilson?
Yes.
What were the results of that comparison?
This knot demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 2 donors, including at least 1 male. Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton are both included as possible donors to that mixture. For Wade Wilson, the DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Wade Wilson and an additional unrelated person than if it originated from 2 unrelated people. For Kristine Melton, the observed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from her and 1 unrelated person than if it originated from 2 unrelated people.
Did you then untie that knot and swab the inside of that knot?
Yes,
Is that 3H?
yes, it is.
And were you able to obtain a profile from that knot?
Yes,
And did you compare that profile to Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton?
yes.
What were the results of that comparison?
This demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 2 donors, including at least 1 male. Other limited data which is not interpretable was observed in this sample and may suggest the possibility of additional contributor to this DNA profile. So what that means is rarely I can get DNA signal from that could indicate that another person is present in the sample, but it's not a lot of data. Because it's not a lot of data, I can't make any comparisons to it. It could be DNA, it could actually be a technical artifact of the testing process that I perform. Because of that, it's not interpretable. So then I compared Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton to this mixture. Wade Wilson and Kristine Melton are both included as possible contributors to that mixture. For Wade Wilson, the observed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from him and 1 unrelated individual than if it was from 2 unrelated people. For Kristine Melton, the DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from her and 1 unrelated person than from 2 unrelated people.
Now, did that conclude your testing of the clothing, the knots?
Yes, it did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
For the record, I'm approaching the witness. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 18. I'd ask that you just take a look at State's Exhibit 18.
Why am I typing? I could be talking. What the hell? Y'all. Didn't
Do you recognize State's Exhibit 18?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize 18?
The FDLE item number, the case number, and my handwritten initials.
And at this time, the state will move 18 into evidence.
No objection.
Be admitted.
I'd ask that you just pull out and publish what is inside of that. And what is this item, sir?
This is the curtain rod.
Okay. And were you able to test this curtain rod?
Yes, I was.
And how did you choose which areas to test?
Okay, so similar as to before, based off of the case scenario, it was alleged that this was potentially used in a homicide or potential sexual assault. And so what I was doing with this item is looking first for the possible presence of semen. In this case, it was negative for the presence of semen. The next thing I did was test this for possible blood. So on this portion of the rod, it's difficult to see now because I have swabbed it, but there was staining that's consistent with what looks to be potential
That's
blood.
a pinner.
So I perform a chemical color change test for the possible presence of blood. This is only a presumptive test. It can't confirm blood to the exclusion of all other substances, but it's just a test that can guide my DNA testing to see where I might want to perform DNA analysis. That gave positive indications for the possible presence of blood. So I swabbed that staining at this portion of the rod.
Now I'm just going to ask for the record, the portion of the rod you're pointing to looks like maybe the top of the rod with a little hook.
Yes, the hook that would connect towards the top of the blinds.
And what was the other area that you chose to swab?
The next area would be where I would expect maybe someone to be holding or using this item. So I swabbed this portion just to see if there's any DNA present on this portion of the rod.
Now, item 4, were you able to obtain DNA results from this item?
Yes, I was.
Were you able to create a profile?
Yes, I was.
And did you then compare that profile to the known profiles of Kristine Melton and Wade Wilson?
Yes.
And when I say 4, is this the top of the rod or the bottom of the rod?
So 4 was split into 4A and 4B. 4A would be the staining that was at the top of the rod.
Okay, so what were the results for the profile from the staining at the top of the rod?
That it was a complete DNA profile that was consistent with a female individual.
And were you able to compare that DNA profile to Kristine Melton?
Yes.
And what were the results of that?
The DNA profile from that staining matches the DNA from Kristine Melton. The observed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Kristine Melton than if it originated from an unknown, unrelated individual.
Now, when you have an item of evidence that has a lot of blood on it or blood, can it often happen that that blood might mask other DNA that might be a part of that item?
It could be possible, yes.
Now, as far as the rod handle, were you able to obtain a DNA profile from the handle of that rod?
Yes, I was.
And is that part of 4B?
Yes, that is 4B.
And were you able to compare that profile to Kristine Melton and Wade Wilson?
Yes.
And what were the results of that?
From the handle, it demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 2 donors, including at least 1 male. Wade Wilson is included as a possible contributor to that DNA profile. The observed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Wade Wilson and 1 unrelated person than if it was from 2 unrelated people. Kristine Melton is also included as a possible donor to that mixture. The DNA is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Kristine Melton and 1 unrelated person than if it originated from 2 unrelated people.
Now, did that complete the testing then of that curtain rod?
Yes, it did.
Did you complete a report and detail these findings?
Yes.
And was that date of that report October 16, 2019?
Yes, it was.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Now, sir, when I asked you initially about the items of evidence that you received, was one of those, I don't know, did I introduce 18? Yeah, I did. One of those items I believe you said you received was a blood sample from, or I'm sorry, yes, passenger door swabs from blood sample. And it states Exhibit 33. I'm going to ask if you look at that and tell me if you recognize that exhibit.
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize that exhibit?
By the FDLE case number, the item number, and my handwritten initials on it.
And at this time, the state would move 33 into evidence.
No objection.
Be admitted.
Did you also receive a bloodstain card from Diane Ruiz?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
The bloodstain card, how is the blood? Is it just like dabbed on the card, or how does that card actually work?
I don't actually know.
Okay, so you just know it's blood from that person and you're creating a profile.
Exactly.
So I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 32, and if you can tell me whether you recognize that exhibit.
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize this exhibit?
The FDLE case number, the item number, and my handwritten initials.
At this time, the state would move 32 into evidence.
No
Objection.
objection.
Be admitted.
So let's start with State's Exhibit 32, the known DNA that you received. Were you able to develop a profile?
Yes, I was.
And then for State's Exhibit 33, which were the swabs from the interior passenger door, were you able to develop a profile for that?
Yes, I was.
Did you then compare those two profiles?
Yes.
What were the results of the compare? Actually, let's talk about this first. Did you also compare the DNA sample from the passenger, the blood on the passenger door, to Wade Wilson?
Not in this instance, no.
Okay, so just to Diane Ruiz.
Yes.
And what were the results of that?
The DNA results from that swab demonstrated the presence of a mixture of at least 2 people. A complete DNA profile for the major contributor could be determined and is suitable for comparisons. Due to the limited nature of the DNA results for the additional contributors, that data is not interpretable. So this sample is a little bit different than all the other ones that I've talked about.
Nobody.
All of the other samples I talked about, there was enough DNA present on those items where I could make a definitive decision on how many people were present in those mixtures I obtained. Sometimes there can be DNA from one person in a very large amount, and then a very, very insignificant small portion of DNA that's left over. There's such little amount of DNA that's left over that I can't actually use that portion of it to make any comparisons to. But because there's DNA from someone in a much higher amount, I can compare to that portion of the sample. So that portion of the sample is what I have called in this report a major DNA profile. And that is what I made my comparison to Diane Ruiz from. The major DNA profile matches the DNA from Diane Ruiz. The observed major DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Diane Ruiz than from an unrelated person.
Now, did you also complete a report detailing your findings for that one?
Yes,
And was that a November 4th, 2019 report?
yes.
Your Honor, may I have a moment?
Yes.
No.
This time the state tenders a witness.
I personally have not watched, listened to, heard. I am coming into this 100% blind. Other than he's alleged to killing 2 women.
Sir,
I know
do
nothing.
you test any other items than the ones you mentioned today?
Yes,
And were those consistent with Ms. Melton, Ms. Ruiz, or Mr. Wilson?
it would be easier to probably go through them individually. Yes, there were some inclusions with at least one of those individuals.
Were there exclusions?
Give me this one moment.
Sure.
He's not an actor. There is an actor with the same name. Oh, that's sort of good.
Yes, sir. There were a range of outcomes. There were exclusions.
Oh,
By exclusions, what do you mean? What are you saying are exclusions?
An exclusion is where I'm determining that someone is not contributing to the DNA profile. So when I make the comparison from their buccal swab or blood, I'm stating that those DNA profiles are not the same origin.
Did those DNA profiles come back to people
Ari.
other than Miss Ruiz, Miss Melton, or Mr. Wilson?
Not that I have identified, no.
They came back to other profiles.
Yes.
Did you receive swabbings from the front of a Nissan Versa?
Not from the outside of the car, no.
Just from the inside?
Yes.
Why do you use the phrase possible contributor?
It's just semantic-y. Again, as a DNA analyst, I can't say for sure that someone is or is not the source because I have not tested every single person in this world. So because of that, I can say they're a possible contributor and then provide the weight with a statistical calculation.
Thank you.
Okay. You read,
Nothing
Rick?
further from the state. I'd ask that he be excused.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, sir, you can step down. You're excused. State can call the next witness.
So call Jim Lazenby.
Sir, if you'll just face the clerk, raise your right hand. She'll swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
I can take a stand. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Sir, would you please introduce yourself to ladies and gentlemen of the jury by telling them your name?
Sergeant Jameson Lazenby,
And sir, where do you work?
Lee County Sheriff's Office,
And how long have you worked there?
since '96.
And what do you do for the Lee County Sheriff's Office?
I'm currently a supervisor in the Civil Division.
Introduce yourself to ladies and gentlemen of the jury by telling them your name.
Sergeant Jameson Lazenby,
And sir, where do you work?
Lee County Sheriff's Office,
And how long have you worked there?
since '96.
And what do you do for the Lee County Sheriff's Office?
I'm currently a supervisor in the Civil Division.
What does that mean? Telling them your name.
Sergeant Jameson Lazenby,
And sir, where do you work?
Lee County Sheriff's Office,
And how long have you worked there?
since '96.
And what do you do for the Lee County Sheriff's Office?
I'm currently a supervisor in the Civil Division.
What does that mean?
I supervise court. Lazenby,
And sir, where do you work?
Lee County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you worked there? Sir, would you please introduce yourself to ladies and gentlemen of the jury by telling them your name?
Sergeant Jameson Lazenby,
And sir, where do you work?
Lee County Sheriff's Office,
And how long have you worked there?
since 96.
And what do you do for the Lee County Sheriff's Office?
I'm currently a supervisor in the Civil Division.
What does that mean?
I supervise court procedures such as subpoenas, depositions that are served, subpoenas, things of that nature. I have people that work for me that serve them.
And did you have an opportunity to work at the Lee County Jail back in October of 2019?
Yes, I did.
What were you doing for the Lee County Jail at that point in time?
I was a shift sergeant.
Now, while you were a shift sergeant there at the Lee County Jail, did you have occasion to come in contact with a gentleman by the name of Wade Wilson?
Yes, I did.
Did he make any requests of you at that time?
Yes.
And what were those?
He requested I reach out to the detectives involved in the case and speak to them.
And what did you do after he requested that of you?
Made a phone call to detectives.
And did you arrange for the detectives to come down and meet with Mr. Wilson?
Yes,
And was that the extent of your involvement in this case?
that's it.
No further questions for this witness, Judge.
All right.
No cross.
All right, you can step down.
Judge, stay with call Nick Jones.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear the name.
Nick Jones, Your Honor.
All right, sir, if you'll face the clerk, raise your right hand. She'll swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself to ladies and gentlemen of the jury by telling them your name.
Master Corporal Nicholas Jones of the Cape Coral Police Department.
You say Master Corporal?
Yes, sir.
When did you obtain that rank?
It's been a while now. I don't recall.
Very well. How long have you worked for the Cape Coral Police Department?
I'm in my 19th year.
Back on October 10th of 2019, what did you do for the Cape Coral Police Department?
I was a detective in the Major Crimes Unit.
What was your role as a detective in the Major Crimes Unit, specifically as it relates to the 10th of October 2019?
I was assisting Detective Bell in an investigation regarding Kristine Melton, and then I became the assigned detective for a missing person, Diane Ruiz.
Did you become intimately familiar with the facts and circumstances surrounding the missing person, also known as Kristine Melton,
Yes, sir.
and also as it related to Miss Diane Ruiz?
Yes, sir.
As a result of having received that information, did you ultimately receive a telephone call from a sergeant by the name of Jim Lazenby from the Lee County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did he request of you to come down to the Lee County Sheriff's Office jail to meet with Mr. Wade Wilson?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And did you go and meet with Mr. Wade Wilson?
Yes, sir, I did.
Who did you meet Wade Wilson with?
I was with Detective Jason Hicks.
Could you please describe for ladies and gentlemen of the jury how this meet was set up?
When you go into the Lee County Jail, there are a number of different rooms that they can provide you so you can interview potential witnesses, suspects, things like that. This particular room was a rather large room with a table in the middle of it and some chairs set up. Makes it kind of difficult sometimes in that setting to interview somebody. Creates a large echo. You're trying to hear each other. but that's, there were a couple of windows in the back, so jail personnel can watch.
So who are the only people in this room?
It was myself, Detective Hicks, and Wade Wilson.
And did Mr. Wilson indicate to you that he wished to speak to you?
He did.
Did you make any threats or promises in order to get him to speak with you?
No, sir.
Did he request, was the only request that he made of you to get some French fries?
It was a burger and fries, but yes, sir.
And as a result of that, did he sit down and speak with you?
He did.
Okay. And was this conversation recorded?
It was.
And did you read him Miranda rights?
Yes, sir.
What are Miranda rights?
Miranda rights are to afford the defendant, suspect, the opportunity to counsel an attorney prior to any questioning from law enforcement when there's a custodial setting.
And after you had read those particular rights to him, did he agree to speak with you?
He did. I had a form with me that I read Miranda rights from, and I had him initial it and sign it, as well as myself.
And did he also verbally acknowledge to speak to you?
He did.
And you indicated once again that this was in fact recorded, correct?
Yes, sir.
State's exhibit number 40.
Yeah.
Jones, I'm handing you some previously marked as state exhibit number 40. You recognize that?
Yes, sir.
How do you recognize that?
With my initials and badge number.
And what does that appear to be?
The recorded statement with myself and Wade Wilson.
Have you listened to that statement?
Yes, sir.
Does that statement contain the entire interaction between you and Mr. Wilson?
Yes, sir.
Judge, at this time, the state will move state's exhibit number 40 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
Be admitted.
Permission to publish, Judge?
Yes. Admit.
Judge, the state has taken the liberty of going ahead and preparing a series of copies of transcripts for the jury to follow along, given the light of the fact in which the recording was actually took place.
Okay.
I have a jury instruction for the court
Yes.
as well. If I may approach.
You may. Any objection to the instruction? I'm sure you shared it.
Can I have one moment?
Yes, absolutely.
No objection, Judge.
All right, very well then. Mr. Calvin, can I have one of those? Mr. Calvin, can I have one of those? I think one goes to the clerk. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to hear recorded conversations. These recorded conversations are proper evidence, and you may consider them just as any other evidence. You're also being furnished transcripts of the recorded conversations. The recordings are the evidence, and the transcripts are provided to you only as a guide to help you follow as you listen closely to the recordings. The transcripts are not evidence of what was actually said or who said it. If you notice any difference between what you hear on the recordings and what you read in the transcripts, you must rely on what you hear, not what you read.
Thank you.
At least we don't have the black ladies sitting behind him going, pulling and playing with her hair. She's behind him. Right there. But at least she's not doing this grooming and yawning and nose picking. What is this? It's obnoxious. I don't know what this is. The trash crowds a burger directly on the world. What? My captioning. Just let you know it's not simple, okay? I'm going to have to get authorization from somebody here, okay? Today that happens. So, I mean, time, all right, before we do anything, I got to put it out there. With the last time we were here, you have to talk with another lawyer first, all right? So now that's what we're going to do. Will be before we do that, all right? I got to read you all again, okay? We're going to go. All right. So the other night too, the main town, you say the issue is in court. You would like to talk to a lawyer for advice. We have questions for him or her. Who will their questions be? We cannot afford a little what one point God on point one for you. You decided yesterday questions weren't even going public. You still have the right to population anytime. Time Susan, understand that each of the rights, yes, I do, where I can't read it all. It's very echoey in there. Very. Y'all, I'm gonna zoom through this because we can't hear it and it's hurting my head. But my captioning can't even grab it now. How to get rid of something. I'm good at making sure you get something out of trouble. We just see anymore. Do you have a little? I don't know. There's nothing. Something about a steam when you get free. It's just random. Don't even know how accurate it is. How long did they? Gosh, they listened to that forever. I wonder if we can get a transcript. Toxic? Do we have a transcript? It's weird. I think this was kind of in a big open room, and in jail, everything echoes. Oh,
Let the record reflect the jury's exited the courtroom. You can be seated. There are some exhibits up there if you want to approach and get those off the stand.
Also, we'll need to make sure we get those transcripts back too. since
Yes.
they're not
From the state.
Judge of State has met a prima facie case on each and every single count alleged in the indictment. We respectfully request the court to draw all inferences in favor of the state as required by the law at this point in time, and respectfully request the court to deny the request for direct appeal.
are y'all
I
having a
have,
hard time
presided
hearing,
over
or is
the
it just
trial,
me?
Listen to the testimony and the arguments of counsel. I'm going to deny the motion for judgment of acquittal. Now, Mr. Wilson, we spoke earlier about whether you wanted to testify or not testify in this case.
Did they just
You
rest?
need to speak with your attorneys anymore regarding that decision.
Yes.
Okay, we'll give you a few moments. I'll take about a 15-minute
Perfect.
recess. I'll come back.
All right.
So did they just rest?
Hey, Nick, go get some food. Where you looking?
Will it be you or Mr. Hollander that will rest? Mr. Hollander.
I know.
It makes sense. I just heard him say it before it really says.
Jurors entry.
All right, please be seated. Mr. Hollander.
This time the defense rests, Judge.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, both the state
Whoa.
and defense have rested. What we're going to do is I'm going to let you go home early today and have you come back tomorrow morning where we have closing arguments. And so remember the same instructions I've been giving to you ever since you first started. Don't do any research. Don't look up anything. Don't watch local television, read any local newspapers. Don't discuss anything about this case.
What?
Including close family members, any household.
No
friends,
defense?
anybody. And that includes even on the internet or in person to person. Do not discuss this case with anyone. Does everybody understand and can follow those instructions? All right, then we will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And just leave your notepads here.
We're on verdict watch tomorrow? Closing and verdict watch? Oh, y'all, I got to put a poll up and see how long it takes for them to come back with guilty. Oh my gosh, what do y'all think? I need your comments. What? That wasn't even 2 full days for double murder? I mean, the evidence is pretty mounting.
All right, let the record reflect the jury's exited the courtroom. Both state and defense have rested. Were there any other motions, Mr. Hollander?
Not at this time, Judge.
Very well. Then on jury instructions, does everybody have a copy of the latest editions? Okay. And I'll just go through title by title. And if since the state promulgated them, then I presume they don't have an objection to them, but if you see something you object to, please speak up. Otherwise, I'll look to the defense, Mr. Hollander, and I'll call out the name of the heading. And if you have an objection, state your objection. If you have no objection, then just please say no objection on the record, and I'll move on to the next one.
All right. You're gonna have to read the titles.
I will read the titles.
Numbers aren't.
Right, I'll read the title. So, introduction to final instructions.
No objection.
Final instructions to control.
No objection.
Statement of charge.
No objection.
Introduction to homicide.
No objection.
Okay. First degree premeditated murder.
No objection.
Toxic. Is this a
When there are lesser
DP
included
case?
crimes or attempts.
No objection.
Second degree murder.
No objection.
Manslaughter.
No objection.
Grand theft motor vehicle.
No objection.
Battery.
No objection.
Introduction to homicide.
Hmm.
No objection.
First degree premeditated murder.
What is going on with that case?
No objection.
When there are lesser included crimes or attempts.
No objection.
Second degree murder.
I really don't know anything about the Boone's case either.
No objection.
Manslaughter.
No objection.
Burglary.
The only question I have is on the burglary,
Yes, sir.
because first full paragraph, possession of Kent Amlin or Fanny, and we didn't hear from Kent Amlin.
I don't know. I don't recall him being identified as her husband. I might have missed it, but I just don't recall that identification.
Steve. Okay.
I asked her. she
Why
works
is
in the
Boone
county.
getting so many different lawyers? Catch me up, somebody.
I don't recall if she said, referred to him as husband or not. I don't know if the court reporter could look for that before tomorrow. Not part of the testimony.
Okay. Well, I can let you all
She
do
did
that.
say her husband's clothing. I remember that. And I asked her if her husband hadn't picked up the clothing which she had. I do remember asking her that.
And I recall that too. I just don't have anything in here where he was identified by name.
I thought one of the detectives did in their testimony earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. When the state was inquiring about their investigation and how they got to the home or something. But that's something you all can look at overnight on that. So we'll put a question mark by that instruction. When there are lesser included crimes or attempts.
No objection.
And go back to that burglary one. So if it were that there was no evidence about a Kent Amlin, would you just have Kent Amlin's name removed from that?
Yeah, we can't. I mean, it's quite clear she identified herself as the owner of the house. So.
Okay. So it'd be Fanny Amlin then, without the husband's name
Right.
in there, if it wasn't established in the evidence. Okay.
Are y'all hearing my
Now we'll
fan
move
on the
to
microphone?
when there are lesser included crimes or attempts.
No objection.
Trespass in structure,
Same issue, Judge.
Same issue.
same issue, but other than that, any objection?
No.
First degree petty theft,
Same,
as far as Kent Amlin,
yeah,
same concern. Other than
Perfect.
that, any objection?
no objection.
All right. When there are lesser included crimes or attempts,
No objection.
second degree petty theft,
Same issue.
same issue as far as Kent Amlin, but other than that, any objection?
No.
Plea of not guilty, reasonable doubt, and burden of proof.
Uh, Halfway down the page, Judge, there's a option.
I see the parentheses and
Yeah.
I think it should just end at prove anything, period.
That's
Okay.
correct, Your Honor. This is the new instruction that just came out.
okay. All right, so you'll redact then the portions related to the option.
Yes.
Weighing the evidence.
Okay, this one, I don't see any evidence for 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10.
8
State,
agrees.
okay, so we'll take 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 will be redacted.
Otherwise,
Take
no-
out the part about the defendant in this case has become a
Yes.
witness. Okay,
Wait, where was it?
on the second page in the middle.
Oh,
Defendant not testifying. Any objection?
no objection, both paragraphs, please.
Okay. I'm sorry?
Both paragraphs.
Yes. That's, yeah. Defendant statements.
Yeah, because of the last.
Any objection?
No
No.
objection.
Okay. Rules for deliberation.
No objection.
Single defendant, multiple counts.
No objection.
Cautionary instruction.
No objection.
Verdict.
uh, No objection.
Verdict form.
No objection.
Submitting the case to the jury.
Judge, can I bring the court's attention back to the instruction that says verdict?
Yes.
I'd like to direct your attention to third paragraph. Which reads, if you return a verdict of guilty to the charge of first degree murder, it's not necessary that all of you agree that the state proved first degree premeditated murder, and it's not necessary that all of you agree that the state proved first degree felony murder. Instead, what is required is that you all agree the state proved either first degree premeditated or first degree felony murder. Just noting that the indictment reads, it was first degree premeditated murder that was charged. We did not.
There was no
charge
felony murder.
No.
Correct.
So I'm going to respectfully request that we delete that particular paragraph.
Okay, so just
Yeah,
remove the
none of it
whole,
would make sense. Yeah, you can't piecemeal that one.
Right.
so just remove that whole paragraph. Any objection from the defense?
No
No.
objection.
Submitting case to the jury.
There's a second, again, this is a new instruction. So it says give A or B as appropriate. Say it again. There's a new instruction. So the second page, it says give A or B as appropriate. We just need to fix those.
We're not on mine.
Oh,
Didn't say that on ours either.
Did you
This
pick
is-
A?
this
Did
is
you
a-
pick A or B?
well, this is the standard. It's the new standard.
Let me see.
Well, no, let's. Ours doesn't say that. What
That's
yours-
because he,
Hmm.
mine, but this one is the one
I
that's
see.
sent out with the new standard. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to do the standard one. Is I presume all the other instructions were standard.
Yes, and
Yes.
this one is new and the beyond unreasonable doubt one are new.
Okay.
Is new also.
Judge, just to direct your attention, it's the second to last paragraph above. It reads, during the trial, items were received into evidence as exhibits. You may examine whatever exhibits you think will help you in your deliberations. These exhibits will be sent to you, will be sent into the jury room with you when you begin to deliberate. And then I indicate, or if you wish to see an exhibit not sent back to the jury room, please request that in writing. So what I had gone ahead and done is I'd gone ahead and incorporated the options of give A or B as appropriate into the single sentence.
I don't know that I have a problem with that because some of the exhibits are biohazards and we can't just send them back.
Right. Or audio or video. You can't send those back either.
No. So that makes sense.
Hmm.
We heard a from the bench. What does that mean?
Oh, you said it.
might
I
have
didn't.
Okay.
But it's not wrong.
Oh, you said it, not
I'm
me.
looking for some kind of qualification in the instruction that says some exhibits will be sent back with you. If there's any other exhibits you wish to see, you can request that in writing, just so it's not confusing. But I don't want to go stray from the standard. I'll just read the standard instruction as you wish. So it would read, during the trial, items were received into evidence as exhibits. You may examine whatever exhibits you think will help you in your deliberations. These exhibits will be sent into the jury room with you when you begin to deliberate, or if you wish to see an exhibit not sent back into the jury room, please request that in writing. Actually, that is written, I think, that clarifies that, and the way Mr. Gardner wrote it seems less confusing.
Yes, Judge.
Yes, I agree.
Any objection to that then?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Then any objection to submitting case to the jury?
No objection.
All right, very well. All right, then, you have the edits that you need to work on and research over the evening, and anything else that the court needs to address before we recess?
Not on behalf of the defense, Your Honor.
Anything from the state?
There you are.
All right, then. We will be in recess. We'll see you back here. Any reason to be here early for anything, or?
No, Your Honor.
I come at 9 o'clock, then we'll start court at 9
9:02.
o'clock. We'll start with closing arguments, and then I'll give the final instructions. All right? All right. Thank you. Wait 1 second.
Go. Go. What? Okay. Hey, y'all. I am so excited we have our very first sponsor, and I'm wearing this hat to honor them. Who is it? Well, it's coffee, my favorite thing. This coffee is from Hitchman Homestead Coffee. This is the Shooter Shack Coffee Pioneer Nicaraguan Roast. This coffee is so delicious, y'all. It is so smooth. It does not leave a chemical taste on the back of the tongue. It's not overly bitter. And I have to tell you, it is my favorite. And I am now getting rid of all my other coffee. I kid you not. They have a monthly subscription available. You get 4 12-ounce bag a month, either whole beaned or ground. And then you can also get a Keurig option as well. The other thing they have is wonderful gift boxes that you can send to your loved ones. So you want to support a fabulous home business and people here in the Hill Country, go to hitchmanhomestead.com and let them know I sent you, and grab yourself some of the best tasting coffee we have here in Texas Hill Country. Well, I'm back. Hey, y'all. Oh, come on, work with me. There we go. Okay, guys. So we got 2 things tomorrow. So I'm going to start the Karen Reed trial. I don't know if we're going to get much in far as closing, so we will be watching. I'll have the verdict watch up, and when the verdict comes in, I'll pop it in. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting day. Yeah, we're not going to be surprised by the verdict on this one at all. Not at all. I was a little surprised at the fact that they had 0 defense. Yeah. His goose is cooked. Wouldn't it be funny if that happened in the Reed trial? Defense rest, Your Honor. Everyone would choke. Okay, guys, I'm going to let you go. I hope to see you tomorrow morning. Grab your coffee, get your breakfast taco, whatever you eat, and let's sit down and watch the Karen Reed trial. Y'all have an awesome evening. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.